changes and no additions. I had been secretly married to my CEO husband for 6 years, yet he still refused to let our son call him dad. After he missed our son's birthday again because he was busy with his secretary, I took out the divorce papers and left with our child for good. The man who was normally composed lost control, rushing into the office demanding to know where we had gone. But this time, neither my son nor I would return. "Mr. Clark, I'll be going abroad for further studies next month. Here is my resignation letter." Mr. Clark stared at me, surprised. "This is quite sudden." I gave him the explanation I prepared. "My husband is in Australia. I want to take my child there so we can live together." He nodded. "That makes sense. Raising a child alone here must be challenging. We all assumed you were a single mother." I smiled. I wasn't before, but soon I would be. As I stepped out, I ran into Matthew Grant and Qua Alexander walking toward me. Matthew was my boss and the father of my child. 7 years ago, I had worked as his personal secretary. One chaotic night, after too much alcohol, we ended up having a child. This year marks 6 years of our secret marriage and 6 years of him refusing to let our son call him dad. Matthew walked slowly, matching the pace of the woman beside him. Qua held a report in one hand and lightly gripped the hem of Matthew's suit with the other. Their display of closeness was difficult to watch. As we approached each other, my heart tightened and I couldn't stop myself from saying, "Matthew." He stopped, his face expressionless. "Miss Langley." His distant, formal tone held a warning. It reminded me that in this office, he was my superior and I was his employee. I understood and pushed down my feelings. "Mr. Grant." Matthew gave a small nod and walked past me as if I were a stranger. I swallowed my frustration and held back the words about my resignation. He wouldn't care anyway. My phone lit up. It was a message from my son on his smartwatch. "Mom, will Dad come home for my birthday?" I paused and instinctively looked back. I saw Matthew bending down slightly to talk gently to Qua. When someone passed by, he automatically shielded her. His eyes softened with care. I ignored the ache in my chest and texted Matthew, "Today is Tyler's birthday. Are you free tonight?" Across the hallway, I saw him check his phone. Less than 3 seconds later, he put it away without any reaction. Staring at the unanswered message, I let out a bitter laugh. "Whitney, get it together. You should know he'd never love you. What were you expecting?" I placed my phone back in my pocket, took a deep breath, and walked away. "Matthew, soon you'll be free." After leaving the office, I went straight to Tyler's kindergarten. As soon as he saw me, he said, "Mom, today is my birthday. Will Dad celebrate with me?" On the busy street, my eyes stung. "Your dad." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Matthew had finally replied, "I'm free." "I'll come home." A wave of relief washed over me. I nodded at Tyler. "Don't worry. Your dad will come home today." Tyler clapped and jumped into my arms, thrilled. In 6 years of marriage, this was the first time Matthew had agreed to celebrate his birthday. That night, I made a full dinner and Tyler finished his homework early. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. I sent message after message asking if Matthew was still coming, but as usual, he didn't reply. Tyler looked at me quietly. "Mom, is Dad too busy?" A sharp pain filled my chest. I wanted to explain, but nothing came out. So I said, "It's okay. I'm always here with you." Tyler didn't ask again. He picked up his birthday hat. "Mom, can you put it on?" I nodded. As I reached for it, I noticed Qua's latest social media post. "Today was wonderful. I really enjoyed myself." The photo showed a beautifully arranged dish at a luxury restaurant. Although no faces were shown, I recognized the wedding ring in the corner, the ring Matthew and I had chosen together. He always wore it on the pinky of his left hand, so no one would know he was married. The ring, meant to symbolize marriage, had become a tool for him to appear single. On Tyler's 6th birthday, he was sharing a candlelit dinner with someone else. All the hurt I felt became strangely calm. I liked the post and set my phone down. Then I placed the birthday hat on Tyler. "Tyler, happy birthday." Under the warm candlelight, Tyler closed his eyes. "My birthday wish is to always be with Mom." I took a photo of him. In that moment, the idea of leaving became certain. "All right," I whispered. "I promise I'll always be with you." That night, we didn't mention Matthew. It felt like this home had always been just the two of us. After Tyler fell asleep, I took out the divorce papers from the drawer. Every remaining doubt disappeared. At 2 a.m., Matthew finally came home. When he saw the untouched cake, regret crossed his face. Sorry, I forgot. I found it almost ironic. Did he not see my messages? Or was he so occupied with someone else that everything slipped his mind? I turned to the last page of the divorce agreement and handed it to him. You can sign this. Before he could respond, his phone rang. Qua's slightly anxious voice came through the speaker. Mr. Grant, I think the power is out at my place. Can you come? I'm scared. Matthew stood up immediately, concern in his eyes. Wait, I'll be right there. After ending the call, he signed the papers without reading them. I stepped aside and watched him walk out. Matthew, remember this. You were the one who chose to leave this home. The next day, I returned to the office to finish my handover. Matthew approached me holding a neatly wrapped gift. This is Tyler's birthday present. I forgot to give it to him yesterday. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a toy puppy. Tyler was terrified of dogs. When he was 5, Matthew had taken him to an amusement park and let go of his hand while greeting a friend. Tyler got lost and ended up crouched on a sidewalk, trembling because a stray dog was nearby. Since then, he feared dogs, and the person who caused it was giving him a toy puppy. I wasn't sure if I felt more anger or disappointment. I set the gift aside and said calmly, "Thank you." Matthew looked confused, then seemed to remember something. There's a power outage at Qua's place. I thought she could stay at our house. You're not working today. Take Tyler out for a few days. His casual tone stunned me. You're asking Tyler and me to move out for Qua. Matthew frowned. Don't make it sound like that. It's temporary. Since we agreed to a secret marriage, we should avoid suspicion at the office. I laughed softly. How convenient. Was she really just a colleague? Or did he simply think Tyler and I were in the way? I didn't want to argue. I continued working. I understand. I'll pack and take Tyler out. I won't disturb you. Since we already planned to leave, it didn't matter if we left earlier. Matthew seemed surprised at how quickly I agreed. I'll make it up to you both, he said softly. But the hurt had already turned numb. No apology could fix it. Back at home, I packed our belongings and prepared to leave with Tyler. When I opened the door, I saw Matthew returning with Qua. He was pushing her suitcase with one hand, looking every bit the dependable partner. Our eyes met, and I noticed a flash of panic in his expression. Qua looked startled when she saw us. Miss Langley, what are you doing at Mr. Grant's house? Before I could answer, Matthew quickly cut in. They're relatives of mine. They're staying here temporarily. My grip on the suitcase tightened. I had heard him use that excuse before. Every time he said something like that, it felt like another small wound. I was about to respond, but Tyler spoke first. Hello, Mr. Grant. I turned to him, surprised, seeing tears in his eyes. Mom, let's go. My throat tightened. I forced a small smile. Okay. As we walked past them, Matthew grabbed my arm. He stared at me, stunned. What did Tyler just call me? I gave a faint, tired smile. Isn't that what you always wanted, Mr. Grant? In 6 years of marriage, he had never acknowledged that we were husband and wife. He never allowed Tyler to call him Dad. The only difference today was that instead of Matthew enforcing that distance, our son had chosen it himself. I lowered my gaze and tried to pull my hand back, but he didn't let go. His expression was complicated. I'll talk to Tyler in a few days, I said quietly. Qua is waiting. Let go. Only then did Matthew seem aware of his actions. He slowly released me. I let out a cold breath, took Tyler's hand, and walked out. Wait, he called. He hurried to his car, grabbed a cake box, and handed it to me. Happy birthday, Tyler. Qua chimed in at the perfect moment. That cake was meant for me, but what a coincidence. It's your son's birthday, Miss Langley. Hope you don't mind. The box suddenly felt too heavy in my hands. I wanted to give it back, but Tyler's excitement stopped me. His eyes were bright with hope. He didn't understand the tensions between adults. He just wanted his dad to share cake with him. Will you eat it with me? He asked Matthew. Matthew hesitated, then nodded. Tyler clapped and pulled me toward the living room. He asked me to bring out the cake. I patted his head and quickly sliced it. But the moment I tasted a piece, my smile disappeared. Spit it out! You can't eat this! Panic surged through me as I snatched the slice from Tyler's hands. Matthew's face darkened. Whitney, what's wrong with you? I looked up, my eyes burning. Tyler is allergic to mango. You didn't know? Matthew's expression shifted instantly to shock. I'm sorry, I didn't know. He was apologizing, again. I had heard that word countless times since Tyler was born. Tyler froze, staring at Matthew. The hope in his little eyes faded. It's okay, he whispered. He couldn't have known. Then he buried his face in my arms, refusing to look at Matthew again. Without hesitating, I stood up, carried Tyler, and walked out of the house. Even as we left, I could feel Matthew's regretful, anxious stare behind us. But this time, neither of us turned back. A few weeks ago, I posted here under a throwaway account because my life had always felt chaotic, and anonymity was the only thing that seemed stable. People asked for an update, and I said I'd return once everything was finalized. They are now. This will be long because real life doesn't fit neatly into a short summary, and because I learned that the truth can be both clearer and colder than the stories we tell ourselves. Here is the original situation in one breath. I had been secretly married to my CEO husband for 6 years. We had a son, Tyler, who had just turned 6. Matthew never allowed Tyler to call him dad, never wore his wedding ring properly, and missed our son's birthday while dining with his secretary, who then posted about her great evening. I asked for a divorce. He signed without reading. Then he told me to take Tyler out of our own home so the secretary could stay there without raising suspicion at work. He also brought Tyler a mango cake, even though Tyler is allergic. You can imagine how the comments here reacted. To everyone who said run, I did. To everyone who asked for nuance, I found it. To everyone who said nothing shocks them anymore, I hope you're seated. Update 1. The logistics of leaving. Leaving wasn't dramatic. There was no cinematic moment. I left with a backpack, an envelope, and a sticky note with passwords. I rented a small place near Tyler's kindergarten on a month-to-month basis. I told my team I was taking the rest of the week for family reasons, then sent my resignation to HR with a polite paragraph about gratitude and transitions. My manager, Mr. Clark, replied almost immediately with 2 simple sentences. We'll miss you. If you need a reference or temporary position, just ask. I stared at that email for several minutes. It was the first genuine kindness I had heard from a man in weeks. Tyler handled the move like an adventure. Do we bring the blue blanket? Yes. The Legos? Put them in the bag? The big TV? No, buddy, but we'll have a wall and a couch, and we'll make it feel like ours. I also contacted a lawyer. She was small, soft-spoken, and sharper than she appeared. She told me to bring everything: marriage certificate, NDA from the secret wedding, texts, screenshots, even the picture where the ring appeared beside the restaurant dish. She read everything calmly. Then she asked the question I had been afraid to consider. What outcome do you actually want? Not the fantasy, not the movie version, the real one that keeps you and your son stable. I said I wanted custody, financial transparency, and never again needing permission to make medical decisions for my child. She smiled gently. Then, here's how we get that. We filed the divorce petition, requested temporary sole custody, asked for supervised visitation until Matthew learned Tyler's medical needs, and because he told me to move out so another woman could move in, we filed for exclusive use of the marital home until sale or buyout. My lawyer also drafted a letter to Matthew's counsel with one line that felt like justice. Given Mr. Grant's refusal to be identified as the child's father, we will refer to him as Mr. Grant in all filings. The child will do the same, pending therapeutic guidance. Update 2, the first meeting. People warned me about the first lawyer meeting, how it condenses all the emotions into something sterile and legal. They were right. Matthew showed up in a perfect suit, expression carefully controlled. He didn't look at me. He looked at the wall, as if staying still was the only way to get through it. His attorney began with a calm but sharp tone. Mr. Grant requests unsupervised visitation twice weekly and alternating weekends. My lawyer replied just as calmly, Mr. Grant may begin with therapeutic reunification that includes education on the child's medical history, especially his allergy and the precautions needed, as shown by the mango incident. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Something flickered across Matthew's face, guilt or irritation. I had spent years learning his micro-expressions. He finally spoke, but only to my lawyer. It was an honest mistake. I didn't know. My lawyer answered, exactly why we start slowly, with no changes or additions. Then came something no one predicted. Matthew asked for a recess, not his lawyer, him. Outside in the hallway, he said quietly, I signed the papers because she called. I thought the power outage meant something else. He blinked, trying awkwardly to offer context. It wasn't, I said, but it doesn't matter. He paused, which he rarely did. I know how it looked. Can we talk later? Just us, somewhere public, not about getting you back. Don't worry. It's about giving you the full picture. You deserve to make decisions with all the information, even if that means never seeing me again. I agreed to meet at a small coffee shop with metal chairs and a broken sugar dispenser because nothing overwhelming feels real unless the chair wobbles. Update 3. Coffee and a document. There was no speech. Matthew slid a folded paper across the table, the same way he had done with contracts countless times. Inside was an account statement and a trust document. Tyler's name appeared twice. The trust had been funded monthly throughout our marriage, containing more money than I had ever seen at once. The beneficiaries were Tyler, or a scholarship fund if he declined. Then I saw the clause that stunned me. The trust depended on keeping Matthew's paternity confidential until a specific date. If disclosed early, the funds would go to the scholarship fund. The date was only a few months away. My first reaction was defensive. So you bought silence? No, he said. His voice was flat, tired, almost defeated. I bought time. Negotiated time. He paused, searching for words. My father, he stopped, corrected himself. The board tied my compensation to the trust. They wanted leverage. I pushed back. They think they're restricting me. I used it to build something for him. He nodded at Tyler's name, but it meant I had to keep the marriage hidden in a way that looked like indifference. I chose appearances over honesty. That was wrong. He rubbed his jaw, and for the first time I noticed a faint scar on his wrist. I had seen his hands thousands of times, but never noticed it. I didn't know about the allergy because I stayed away when you wrote down his milestones. I didn't want to show up like a stranger holding a camera. Then he looked at me, really looked. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to. That evening, I prepared to take Tyler out, but his little legs kept slowing down as he glanced back at the house multiple times. Mom, are we coming back? He asked in a hesitant voice. We will, I replied lightly. He looked up at me. Where will I sleep tonight? I paused. My forehead started to ache. People said Matthew treated Qua well, but I knew that warmth was never for me. After leaving the house and stepping onto the main road, the streetlights flickered. Tyler held my hand a little tighter. Since his birthday was supposed to be yesterday, I thought I would make up for it today. So I brought Tyler to a dessert cafe. Tyler, what do you want to eat? Before he could answer, a familiar voice echoed behind us. Whitney? It was Matthew's friend Felix. I froze. He walked over smiling, revealing the dimples on both cheeks. He looked from me to Tyler. Is this your child? I forced a smile. A friend's kid. Felix, who was usually pretty oblivious, immediately looked doubtful. Really? But he looks a lot like Matthew. A sharp pain struck my temples. To avoid further questions, I quickly stepped aside with Tyler. Sorry, Felix. I need to pick up something. I'll see you another time. Felix didn't know I was married to Matthew. No one did. Tyler and I played outside until late. He fell asleep as soon as we returned to the house. The next morning, I took him to kindergarten. Before we reached the entrance, a child blocked our path. It was Alan, Matthew and Qua's nephew. Matthew's sister had divorced years ago, leaving Alan in her care. Qua helped raise him, and Matthew regularly supported the child as well. On weekends, he even took Alan out, spending more time with him than with Tyler. Tyler, Alan called out loudly. I met your dad yesterday. Tyler's eyes widened. You saw my dad? Alan nodded proudly. Yeah. My aunt took me to eat with Uncle Grant. You don't know what he looks like because your dad doesn't want to see you. That's why he spent my birthday with me, not yours. Every word stabbed like a needle. Tyler stared at the ground, silent. Alan continued. You're already 6 years old. Your dad hasn't been home all year. He doesn't like you. He likes me more. Why did he spend my birthday with me instead of yours? That was it. I stepped in front of Tyler, blocking him. Alan, that's enough. But Alan was spoiled and didn't know when to stop. Even my aunt says Uncle Grant would rather take care of me. A cold voice suddenly cut in. What are you doing here? Matthew approached from behind. I immediately stepped aside, avoiding him. Alan ran over happily. Uncle Grant? Matthew frowned. Alan apologized. Alan pouted. Why? I didn't say anything wrong. Matthew's tone hardened. I said apologize. Alan reluctantly muttered, sorry. I crouched down to wipe the tears from Tyler's eyes. Let's go to class. Matthew stared at us. His lips parted as if to say something, but he stayed silent. I didn't look at him again. After sending Tyler inside, I turned around and walked straight to the hospital. I needed a full checkup for the physical exam abroad. I had been planning to leave for a while. I wanted a life where Tyler didn't have to grow up ignored. At the hospital entrance, I saw Matthew. He had actually followed me. He walked over, face tense. You don't look well. What's wrong? I turned away. I'm fine. Matthew studied me for a moment. You seem to be avoiding me. I almost laughed. Avoid him? What else was I supposed to do? Remind him we were married? That we had a son? That he forgot our child's birthday but remembered another woman's dinner? I kept my tone neutral. I'm busy. Matthew reached out as if to check my forehead, but I stepped back. His hand froze midair. Whitney, he said quietly, if you're sick, go home and rest. Don't push yourself. His sudden concern felt unfamiliar. I lowered my gaze. I'm fine. I brushed past him and walked inside. Matthew stood still, a strange expression crossing his face. After finishing the examination, I sent Tyler a message. Then I stopped by the HR office to return my badge and finish the last step of my resignation. On my way out, I ran into Qua. She walked up smiling gently. Ms. Langley, I heard you resigned. Why so suddenly? Her tone was soft, but her eyes held quiet satisfaction. I smiled faintly. I just need a change. She hesitated, then asked, did something happen at home? I said nothing. Qua tucked her hair behind her ear. By the way, thank you for letting me stay at your place last night. Matthew was really worried about me. He said it means a lot. I stopped walking. She moved closer and whispered, you know Matthew doesn't like people suspecting anything between him and his secretary. You leaving the house made things less awkward. I appreciate that. I finally looked at her and smiled calmly. No problem. But inside, everything went completely quiet. Before I could leave, my phone rang. It was Tyler's teacher. Miss Langley, Tyler fainted at school. My heart dropped. What? I'm coming now. I rushed to the kindergarten, running through every red light. Tyler was lying on a cot, pale and exhausted. I picked him up immediately. What happened? The teacher said. He was dizzy and wouldn't eat. He said he didn't want to bother you, so he didn't speak up. I held him tight, guilt sinking deep. At the hospital, the doctor said Tyler needed immediate rest, no stress, and proper care. As I sat by his bedside, I finally realized something. I had stayed in this marriage because I thought a child needed a complete family. But this family had never been whole. Tyler's hand weakly grabbed mine. Mom, will Dad come? My throat tightened. You want to see him? Tyler nodded slightly. I just want him to look at me once. I looked at my phone. No messages from Matthew. Of course. After a long silence, I said softly, Tyler, how about we stop waiting for him? His lips trembled. Then he whispered, okay. In that moment, my heart broke completely and healed at the same time. We were discharged in the evening. When we got home, the house was dark. Matthew wasn't there. I put Tyler to bed and tucked him in. After stepping out, I saw Matthew's car pulling into the driveway. He stepped out holding some documents. Where were you? He asked. I looked at him steadily. Matthew, I want to talk. He glanced at the closed bedroom door. Did something happen? I exhaled. I'll be taking Tyler abroad. I've already submitted my resignation. Matthew froze. What did you say? I'm leaving with Tyler. He stared at me, stunned. His expression shifted rapidly. Confusion, disbelief, then anger. You're taking him away without discussing it with me? I almost laughed. Discuss? Matthew, when have I ever been included in your decisions? He stepped closer. I'm his father. You remembered that today? My voice stayed calm. Because you certainly forgot yesterday. Matthew's jaw tightened. Whitney, I held up a hand. I'm leaving, Matthew, this time for real. His face darkened. You can't just... I can. I met his gaze evenly. You already signed the divorce papers, with no changes or additions. For the first time, he didn't deny it. I turned toward the stairs. I'm tired, Matthew. Let's talk tomorrow. But Matthew grabbed my wrist before I could walk away. Whitney, don't leave. His voice shook, barely noticeable, but it did. I closed my eyes for a moment. 6 years of trying to make this marriage work. 6 years of waiting for him to look at me, at our son, as more than an inconvenience. You only say that now, I whispered, because you think you're losing control. Matthew tightened his grip. You think I don't care about you and Tyler? I didn't answer. He slowly loosened his hold. Whitney, stay. His tone softened, but it only made the bitterness feel deeper. I already stayed, I said, for 6 years. The next morning, I woke up early to pack my things. Tyler was still sleeping. When I went downstairs, Matthew was sitting on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes. He hadn't slept. He stood up when he saw me. Whitney. I walked past him and continued packing my documents. The lawyer will come next week to finalize custody. I'll leave once Tyler's stable. Matthew's jaw tensed. No, I didn't respond. He moved closer. Whitney, look at me. Reluctantly, I did. I'll change, he said. I know I've been distant. I'll do better. I'll spend more time with Tyler. I shook my head. You're only saying that because I'm leaving, not because you want to. Matthew stared at me, speechless. I don't need promises anymore, I said softly. Tyler and I just need peace. Matthew clenched his fists. You're not listening. Because you never listened, I said. Before either of us could say more, my phone rang. It was Tyler's kindergarten teacher again. Miss Langley, Alan's aunt came to pick him up, and they're causing a scene. They're accusing Tyler of bullying Alan. I froze. That's impossible. I thought so too, but they're making it very loud. Could you come? On my way. I grabbed my bag. Matthew picked up his keys. I'm coming with you. I didn't argue. We drove to the school in silence. At the kindergarten, we walked in on Matthew's sister shouting at the teachers. That boy is a troublemaker, she yelled. Just like his mother. Tyler stood to the side, trembling. Alan was behind her, hiding. Stop it, I snapped, stepping in front of Tyler. Matthew's sister turned. Of course you're here. Always trying to act innocent. Matthew suddenly stepped between us. That's enough, he said, voice sharp. His sister blinked. Matthew. Tyler didn't do anything, he said firmly. Alan caused trouble yesterday too. Don't blame someone else's child because you can't control yours. She stared at him, stunned. You're defending them? Matthew didn't respond, but his stance said everything. She scoffed and dragged Alan away. When they left, Tyler quietly tugged on Matthew's sleeve. Matthew looked down at him. Tyler opened his mouth, hesitant. Did I do something wrong? Matthew shook his head gently. No, you didn't. It was the first time I'd seen him speak to Tyler like that. For a moment, I almost felt something shift. Almost. Back home, Matthew followed me inside. Whitney, don't go. I set down my bag. Matthew. Before I could finish, Tyler ran up, clutching Matthew's pant leg. Dad, he whispered. Matthew stiffened. Tyler looked up at him with hopeful eyes. Do you want me? Matthew froze completely. I held my breath. After several seconds, Matthew slowly crouched down, awkward, unsure, but sincere. He placed a gentle hand on Tyler's head. I do. Tyler's eyes welled up instantly. He threw his arms around Matthew's neck. Dad? Matthew's body trembled slightly as he hugged him back, stiffly, but not pulling away. I turned my face aside. It hurt in a way I couldn't explain, because this tiny moment alone wasn't enough to fix everything. And yet it was something I had wanted for so long. That evening, Matthew stopped me as I walked past him. Whitney, I didn't know. I looked at him quietly. Didn't know what? He swallowed. How much I hurt you. I didn't speak. He continued, voice low. I thought keeping our marriage secret would protect you. I thought staying distant at the office would prevent rumors. I didn't realize it made you feel invisible. Wait, I closed my eyes. Matthew took a step closer. I didn't realize Tyler felt unwanted. My throat tightened. He hesitated, then added, I didn't realize I wanted this family. I finally met his gaze. It's too late. Matthew's expression wavered. Please don't say that. I'm leaving, I said gently. Not to punish you, but because Tyler needs stability, and I need to stop hurting. Matthew exhaled shakily. Whitney, I shook my head. Matthew, this isn't about love. This is about peace. That night, as I finished packing, Matthew sat silently outside the room. He didn't try to stop me again. He just sat there, unmoving. At dawn, Tyler and I walked toward the car. Matthew stood by the doorway, looking exhausted. Tyler waved at him. Dad, when I come back, will you play with me? Matthew knelt down and hugged him tightly. I will. Tyler smiled and got into the car. I closed the driver's door and turned to Matthew one last time. Take care of yourself, I said. He looked at me, eyes dim. Come back someday. I didn't promise anything. I only nodded. Then I drove away. Matthew stood there long after we were gone. He looked down at his hand. The wedding ring he had always worn on his pinky was gone. It was sitting on the coffee table inside the house where I left it. For the first time in 6 years, Matthew realized what it felt like to be the one left behind.